Petticoat Junction, 1963 to 1970, was a heartwarming sitcom that charmed audiences with its small-town setting and lovable characters. For years, fans tuned in to follow the lives of the Bradley family and their adventures at the Shady Rest Hotel. But more than 6 decades later, what has happened to the stars who made the show so special? Some went on to enjoy long and successful careers, while others faced personal struggles, career setbacks, and heartbreaking tragedies. From Hollywood triumphs to tragic farewells, their stories are filled with surprises. Join us as we take a look at where the cast of Petticoat Junction is now in 2025. Edgar Buchanan was born on March 20, 1903, and began playing the role of Uncle Joe Carson on Petticoat Junction in 1963, at the age of 60. Uncle Joe was a lazy, scheming, and often charming character, whose get-rich-quick schemes and humorous misadventures made him a memorable part of the show. Buchanan's career had been long and varied, and he had worked in Hollywood for decades, but his personal life was marked by deep emotional struggles. He married Margaret Kerr in 1933, and though they stayed together for many years, their marriage was strained. Buchanan spent long periods away from home, focusing on his acting career, which created distance in their relationship. They had one daughter, but the emotional toll of his career left Buchanan feeling isolated. As he grew older, his health declined, and he struggled with financial instability, particularly in his later years. The success of Petticoat Junction could not shield him from the pressures of aging and fading fame. Edgar Buchanan passed away on April 4, 1979, at the age of 76, after a long battle with health problems. His death was quiet and unheralded, a far cry from the career highs he had once enjoyed, leaving behind a legacy that was bittersweet. Frank Cady was born on September 8, 1915, and became known for his portrayal of Sam Drucker, the ever-friendly storekeeper in Petticoat Junction, beginning in 1963 at the age of 48. Sam was a steady, reliable figure in Hooterville, always ready to lend a hand to the town's residents. Cady, however, faced struggles in his own personal life that contrasted sharply with the character he portrayed. He married actress Shirley Jones, but their marriage was marked by tension and ultimately ended in divorce. Despite their shared career in Hollywood, their relationship faced constant strain, and they had one child together. Professionally, after Petticoat Junction, Cady found it difficult to reclaim the prominence he had once enjoyed. Roles became fewer, and he struggled with financial difficulties, which added further stress to his already troubled personal life. As he entered his later years, Cady's health began to decline, and his marriage's end left him feeling increasingly isolated. His career had slowed down, and the bright lights of his earlier success dimmed. Cady lived quietly in his final years, his death on June 8, 2012, at the age of 96, marking the end of a life that had been both filled with public acclaim and personal struggles. Bea Benaderet was born on April 4, 1906, and played the role of Kate Bradley, the warm and compassionate matriarch of the Shady Rest Hotel, on Petticoat Junction starting in 1963, at the age of 57. Kate was the pillar of the family, often displaying wisdom, patience, and strength in managing the hotel and caring for her daughters. However, behind Benaderet's professional success lay a personal life fraught with struggles. She married actor Gene L. Wesson, but their marriage eventually ended in divorce. Benaderet was left to raise her children as a single mother, which placed immense emotional and financial strain on her. Despite her success in television and radio, the pressures of being a single mother in a demanding career took its toll on her mental and physical health. As Petticoat Junction gained popularity, Benaderet's health began to deteriorate, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer. She kept her illness mostly private, refusing to let it interfere with her work. Tragically, Benaderet passed away on October 13, 1968, at the age of 62, just as her career seemed to be at its peak. Her death was a devastating blow to the entertainment world, and while her fans mourned the loss of the beloved Kate Bradley, the woman behind the character had fought through years of personal heartache and illness. Rufe Davis was born on December 2, 1908, and began portraying Floyd Smoot in Petticoat Junction in 1963, when he was 55 years old. Floyd Smoot is the lovable, if not overly competent, train conductor who brought a sense of lighthearted comedy to the show, offering frequent humorous moments with his clumsy but well-meaning nature. The role of Floyd Smoot, though adored by audiences, represented only a small slice of his long career in entertainment. Davis had worked in vaudeville, on radio, and in various films before finding his place in the world of television. However, his journey was fraught with personal tragedy. His marriage to actress and singer, Margaret Field, ended in painful divorce after many years of what seemed like an outwardly happy relationship. The heartache from the separation left Davis emotionally shattered, his personal life plagued by regret. Financial instability followed, as many of his ventures after Petticoat Junction failed to provide the same success, leaving him struggling to make ends meet. Davis's health also deteriorated over the years, and in 1974, at the age of 66, he passed away. His death was relatively quiet, and it seemed that no one in Hollywood truly noticed the passing of one of their own, a tragic reminder of how easily even beloved comedic figures can slip into obscurity and die in relative isolation. Meredith MacRae was born on May 30, 1944, and joined Petticoat Junction in 1966, at the age of 22, portraying the role of Billie Jo Bradley, a beautiful and ambitious young woman with dreams of becoming a successful singer. Billie Jo's character was full of optimism, constantly chasing fame and success, but Meredith's own life would unfold with a far more tragic narrative. Behind her striking beauty and captivating performances, MacRae struggled with deep personal demons. She had a tumultuous marriage to actor Greg Mullive, which ended in a painful divorce after just a few years. Although they had no children, Meredith's personal life continued to be filled with emotional challenges, including her struggle to establish a career outside of Petticoat Junction. Even after leaving the show, MacRae found it difficult to escape the shadow of her past role, and her career never truly took off the way she had hoped. But perhaps the cruelest blow came much later, when Meredith was diagnosed with brain cancer. She battled the illness bravely, but at just 56 years old, she passed away on July 14, 2000. The tragic irony was that, despite her constant efforts to find happiness and success, Meredith's life ended in a drawn-out and painful battle with a disease that stole her potential future. Smiley Burnette, born on March 18, 1911, was 52 years old when he began playing Charlie Pratt's, the cheerful and musically gifted train engineer, on Petticoat Junction in 1963. Charlie, always ready with a song or a joke, quickly became an audience favorite, offering a sense of joy and lightheartedness to the small town of Hooterville. However, Burnette's own life was a far cry from the fun-loving character he portrayed on screen. While he had a lengthy career in Hollywood, playing sidekick roles, Burnette's career was often overshadowed by typecasting, which left him struggling for more substantial roles. His personal life mirrored his on-screen character's cheerful nature but was marred by deep personal struggles. He was married 3 times, with each marriage ending in divorce, leaving him with feelings of loneliness and disillusionment. Despite his success as a musician and actor, Burnette's later years were marked by deteriorating health. Suffering from heart disease, he found his health quickly declining, leading to his premature death in 1967 at the age of 55. His passing cut short a career that had brought so much joy to others, leaving behind a legacy of comedic charm but also a life full of personal hardship, unfulfilled potential, and health issues that ultimately led to his untimely demise. Mike Minor was born on December 7, 1940, and became Steve Elliott, the charming, good-natured pilot in Petticoat Junction, starting in 1964 when he was 24 years old. Steve was the perfect gentleman, marrying Billie Jo Bradley and often finding himself in situations that demanded both humor and heroism, but behind the scenes, Minor's life was filled with personal strife. His marriage to actress Shelley Fabre, whom he married in 1969, was marked by intense public pressure and private difficulty. The couple's early years were filled with ambition, but their eventual divorce in 1980 left a trail of heartbreak for both parties. Mike's battle with depression after the divorce was brutal, leaving him emotionally scarred for years. His professional life didn't fare much better, as the roles he landed post-Petticoat Junction were few and far between, and none were as successful or memorable as his time on the show. Miner was also haunted by personal issues that went beyond the public eye: failing relationships, the loneliness of growing older without the same industry opportunities, and struggling to find meaning after the collapse of his once promising career. Ultimately, after years of health battles, Mike Miner passed away from complications of cancer on January 28, 2016, at the age of 75. Pat Woodell, born on July 12, 1944, was only 19 when she began portraying Bobby Jo Bradley on Petticoat Junction in 1963. Bobby Jo, the smart and sensible daughter of the Bradley family, was admired for her intelligence and beauty. However, Woodell's life after Petticoat Junction was less glamorous. Despite her promising start, her career never took off after the show ended, leaving her struggling to find fulfilling roles in Hollywood. Woodell had 2 failed marriages, both of which were emotionally taxing, and she never had children, a loss that she later reflected on as a source of personal sadness. Over time, she became increasingly disillusioned with the entertainment industry, which led to battles with depression and feelings of unfulfilled potential. In her later years, Woodell faced a series of health problems, including strokes, which further isolated her from the public. She passed away on September 29, 2015 at the age of 71, her death marking the end of a life that, though filled with early promise, was ultimately shadowed by personal disappointments, loneliness, and health struggles. Woodell's legacy, though marked by her role in Petticoat Junction, remains a tragic one, her fleeting fame overshadowed by a life of emotional and physical hardships. Charles Lane, born on January 26, 1905, was 58 years old when he began portraying Homer Bedloe, the villainous railroad executive, on Petticoat Junction in 1963. Lane's career spanned over 6 decades, but his personal life was filled with hardship. His first wife, actress Dorothy Adams, passed away in 1965, which left Lane heartbroken and emotionally scarred. His later marriages also ended in divorce, and Lane often found himself isolated and lonely, unable to find lasting happiness in his personal relationships. Despite his professional success, Lane's later years were marked by health problems, including heart disease, which began to take its toll on him physically and emotionally. Lane was often typecast as the villain, and while he enjoyed success, he struggled with the limitations of his career. His personal and professional life were a bittersweet mix of achievement and loss. He lived to the age of 102, passing away on July 9, 2007, but his long life was overshadowed by the emotional cost of his personal tragedies and the challenges of aging in a profession that had never fully embraced him. Lane's death brought an end to a career filled with notable performances, but his life was defined as much by loneliness and personal loss as by his on-screen accomplishments. Linda Henning, born on September 16, 1944, played Betty Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction, beginning her role in 1963 at the age of 19. Betty Jo was known for her adventurous, tomboyish spirit, which mirrored Henning's own zest for life at the time. The role brought Henning fame and recognition, but her career struggled to gain lasting momentum after the show ended. As the years went by, she found herself typecast, unable to secure major roles that would rival her early success. Her career stagnated, and the disappointment of being unable to break free from her Petticoat Junction image weighed heavily on her. On the personal front, Henning faced her own heartbreak. She married early, but the marriage quickly deteriorated, and she ultimately divorced. The failure of her marriage and the unfulfilled dreams of starting a family left Henning with a sense of deep loneliness and regret. Although she once had a promising future, the realities of life after fame left her feeling disconnected from the world she had once been a part of. By 2025, at the age of 80, Henning lives in relative obscurity, far removed from the public eye. The dreams of stardom that once seemed so attainable now seem like distant memories, leaving Henning with a quiet, introspective life, marked by what could have been but was never fully realized. Byron Foulger was born on August 27, 1898, and joined Petticoat Junction in 1965, playing the role of Wendell Gibbs, a mild-mannered and somewhat nervous train engineer, at the age of 67. Foulger's portrayal of Wendell was marked by his ability to create humor in the most awkward and unpredictable situations, making him a memorable part of the show. However, by the time he joined Petticoat Junction, Foulger's career was in its twilight years, and he had already spent decades playing supporting roles in film and television. While his early career in Hollywood was filled with promise, he was often relegated to playing secondary characters, which gradually limited his opportunities. In his personal life, Foulger faced struggles that mirrored his character's meek persona. He had a troubled marriage that ended in divorce, and the emotional toll of this relationship was compounded by his battle with alcoholism. Foulger's reliance on alcohol deeply affected both his career and his personal well-being, contributing to his social isolation and health decline. Despite his long history in entertainment, Foulger's later years were filled with loneliness and regret. At the age of 71, his life came to an end in 1970 from heart failure, a condition exacerbated by years of alcohol abuse. Laurie Saunders, born on October 4, 1941, took on the role of Bobby Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction in 1965 at the age of 24. Bobby Jo was the sweet, innocent, and somewhat naive sister who often found herself in humorous predicaments. Her performance brought her recognition, but like many of her co-stars, Saunders struggled to move beyond her role in the show. After Petticoat Junction ended, Saunders' career prospects dwindled, and she found herself in increasingly minor roles, unable to escape the shadow of her past character. While she had some early success, it was not enough to sustain a long-lasting career in Hollywood. On a personal level, Saunders faced a series of challenges that left her emotionally scarred. She married young, but her marriage quickly fell apart, and she was left to raise 2 children on her own. The burden of single motherhood combined with the failure of her marriage created emotional turmoil that she struggled to overcome. These personal hardships, compounded by the fading of her career, led to a life marked by loneliness and frustration. Now, at the age of 83 in 2025, Saunders remains largely out of the spotlight, living quietly with her children. The life of fame and success she once dreamed of never materialized, and she now reflects on a career and personal life filled with disappointment and lost opportunities. Jeannine Riley was born on October 1, 1940, and took on the role of Billie Jo Bradley in 1963 when she was 23 years old. Billie Jo is the youngest of the Bradley sisters, known for her flirtatious nature and dream of a life filled with excitement and glamour. She is often seen as the dumb blonde of the trio, though her character grows into a more independent and adventurous woman as the series progresses. As her career slowed, Jeannine struggled with typecasting and was often offered similar roles that did not showcase her range as an actress. She appeared in several other TV shows and films, but none reached the same level of success. On the personal front, Jeannine's life was filled with heartbreaking moments. She married and divorced multiple times, with her first marriage ending in turmoil and emotional pain. Despite her desire for stability, her relationships seemed to be marked by an underlying sadness. She did not have children, and that absence seemed to weigh heavily on her, leaving her with a sense of incompleteness. In her later years, Jeannine battled with depression, struggling to find peace after years of professional disappointments and personal heartbreaks. In 2025, she is 84 and remains a private figure, with very little information available about her current life. Gunilla Hutton was born on May 15, 1944, and joined Petticoat Junction in 1965 at 22 to take on the role of Billie Jo Bradley, a part she played with a charming naivety that fit perfectly with her youthful and innocent demeanor. While the role of Billie Jo Bradley brought her a degree of fame, it did not catapult her to the level of stardom she had hoped for. Gunilla struggled to break free from the role of the ditzy, love-struck girl, and as time went on, her career stalled, leaving her with a sense of professional dissatisfaction. On the personal front, Gunilla's life was filled with tragic relationships. She married once but faced great difficulty in finding happiness within her marriage. The union ended in divorce, and she was left to rebuild her life with the emotional scars of a failed relationship. Over the years, Gunilla experienced deep loneliness, unable to maintain a long-term romantic connection or find solace in a family life. She did not have children, and this loss seemed to further isolate her, leaving her questioning the choices she had made. Her later years were marked by financial struggles and emotional turmoil as she wrestled with feelings of unfulfillment and disappointment. By 2025, Gunilla is 80 and a reclusive figure, living quietly away from the public eye. Her dreams of stardom long faded into the background of a life that never quite lived up to its promise. June Lockhart was born on June 25, 1925, and joined Petticoat Junction in 1968, at the age of 43, to play Dr. Janet Craig. Dr. Craig was the sophisticated and highly intelligent doctor who arrived at Shady Rest Hotel to add a touch of refinement to the otherwise quirky hotel setting. While the character of Dr. Craig was well received, June's personal life was full of heartbreaking setbacks that shadowed her success. Her career, though illustrious with multiple TV appearances and film roles, never brought her the lasting recognition she desired. She married twice, first to John Lindsay, with whom she had 2 daughters, but her marriage was marked by strife. The couple divorced after years of emotional conflict. In her second marriage to architect and fellow actor, June suffered the painful loss of her husband in a tragic accident. This loss deeply affected her, leaving her emotionally scarred and unable to fully recover from the grief. Despite her professional achievements, the years following her success were clouded by loneliness and isolation. She struggled with balancing her career and her desire for a meaningful family life, with both of her marriages ending in emotional despair. In 2025, June's 100 years old and his life remains relatively quiet, her public appearances few and far between. Who is your favorite character from Petticoat Junction? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.